after a whole month of being with the client went with another agent. This was a client who actually came to me for a 2 million dirham worth property in the resale deal for Golden Visa. That is your money that you deserve. Again, we thought the deal was not going to happen because Hey guys, this is Thomas Jopin and I'm the Sales and Marketing Director of Green Desert Real Estate, and today I decided to share some experiences in the Dubai real estate market that I've come across, also the company as well for the past 18 years. I hoped that few real estate consultants could relate to the story, the old experience and the new ones, and also maybe hopefully some clients as well. So the first story that I would like to discuss and talk about is about how time and patience is very important for real estate consultants in Dubai. So I can't disclose the time and the client or the project. However, I'll try to, sum up the story in a brief. So a couple of days ago, we had an enquiry. Of course, it was through a referral client, and we had an enquiry for a resale deal in downtown, which is in the range of 10 million. The client was very specific to a certain series and views. We did our research. Unfortunately, we didn't have the exact requirement for the client, so we had to work with other consultants in the market, and we got some options. We shared the options to the client. The client was an international client. Once shared the options, the client then flew down to Dubai for a week only to finalize this deal. So with the trust that we have or that we gave to the client had came down to Dubai, and we showed some options to them. Of course, we showed more options than we shared with the client because the client wanted to see different options, after coming to Dubai, of course, because this was the sole purpose of coming down. And we finalized on one building, and in that one building, there were certain same series but different floors, right? And there were, how the market is, how some sellers want to sell, some sellers don't want to sell, the pricing is different. Regardless, we narrowed it down to last 2 units, and finally there was one unit that the client was comfortable to proceed with, the pricing, the layout, the units and everything. Finally, the buyer was okay. We signed the contract B. However, the seller was traveling, but the buyer's aim was to finalize the deal, sign the contract F, and then perhaps do the transfer and go away, but unfortunately that didn't happen. So it was a bit of a mess. The buyer signed the contract B. We made the buyer understand the situation. The buyer left Dubai. Again, we thought the deal was not going to happen because, how it is in the market. If a client leaves and goes, then they'll change their mind. It's all a psychological game at the end of the day. Later on, the seller was not responding. And of course, there was another agent involved, which is the seller's agent. So we didn't have direct contact with the seller. So due to this situation, there was back and forth negotiation with the pricing. He was getting another offer. The seller finally came down to Dubai after the travel a week later, and the seller didn't agree on the price. The seller wanted more, and there was a lot of challenges that we faced, and eventually the buyer got mad. We then thought that the deal was done, and it was a big deal. It was worth 10 million, right? Eventually we decided it's fate, it's not going to happen, let it go. Perhaps we will focus on another deal. We explained to the buyer did understand, and after a week after all of this, the seller's agent called and said, we signed the new contract A because there was a new price and all of that, and let's proceed with the deal. And then this was after a weekend, when we thought this was not going to happen. We immediately called the buyer and we told them, hey, the seller agreed on the price, the seller agreed with the dates of the transfer, so let's sign the contract F. And immediately the buyer was responsive, so we signed the contract F. The seller signed the contract F as well, and finally the contract F is signed, everything is signed, and next month the transfer is due, and hopefully it will happen. So what I'm trying to say is, in Dubai real estate, there are different types of deals that happen daily with different types of brokers or agencies, and also with clients. So what you need is patience. You need to make the buyer and the seller to understand the situation, be as honest as you can with both the buyers and sellers, because at the end of the day, it's about the relationship that you have with the people or the stakeholders in the Dubai real estate industry. So it will happen, okay? If you work hard enough, it will happen within time when you might not expect it to happen, but it will. And that's the best reward that you can get in the industry. Oh, and by the way, I had mentioned a couple of contracts. So comment below contract, and then we will then come up with a video explaining about all the contracts and different contracts in Dubai real estate. Okay, so the second story is very interesting, and this will be very, very relatable to sales consultants, because I'm pretty sure every sales consultant at least who has been in the market for more than 1 year or even 6 months has actually would have faced these sort of situations. So the second story goes like this. This was a client who actually came to me for a 2 million dirham worth property in the resale deal for Golden Visa. So he wanted to purchase a property worth valued up to 2 million and then apply for Golden Visa. He came to me, he said, hey, these are my requirements, this is what I want. And I said, sure, we can look into some options. He then recommended Dubai Creek Harbour. That's all I can say. And we saw some couple of options in Dubai Creek Harbour, and you get a 2-bedroom in Dubai Creek Harbour, a 2-bedroom apartment in Dubai Creek Harbour for the value of 2 million and plus. So his budget was about 2 million, 2.5 million. I then recommended him and I converted him to an other community of Emaar, which is the valley, right? Within the same budget, okay? And he was completely new to this whole community. So I took him to the community, I explained to him about the project, the clusters, the handover dates, the importance of the growth and the importance of the community. And he was convinced. We took him around and we visited the location about 3 times with him, with his family. And then again, unfortunately, it came down to a resale deal. So we didn't have a direct unit. So we had to work with another real estate firm or another real estate consultant. And the real estate consultant was very nice, very helpful, spent his time to actually share all the details with me and with us, and was very patient in that sense, and explained all the numbers as well. So this went along for almost 1 month. And after a month, unfortunately, so just a backstory before I move into the climax of the story, we came down to one cluster. In that one cluster, there are about, let's say, 250, 300 townhouses, and there were only 4 townhouses that were up for sale. And in these 4 townhouses, there were only 2 that was listed. So the sellers were not ready to sell at the point of time. So there was only 4. So you know how the game works in the market. There are many agents trying to sell the townhouses or the property. Eventually, what happened after 1 month, after showing all these units, after discussing, and he was only communicating with me. This was, again, I can't say who it was, but this is also another referral. So a very close connection as well. That's all I can say. Unfortunately, an other agent, not the same agent that I was dealing with, because you have a contract I, right, which is an A2A contract, which is an agent-to-agent contract that you have in the market. But it was a different agent that perhaps the client was maybe communicating or talking to. And after a whole month of being with the client went with an other agent who offered a better price. And when I mean a better price, it's not a huge difference, it's probably a small amount. And then the deal went, because the client then signed the contract B immediately because he wanted to lock the price, and the deal just went off. So there was no deal. And then after this happened, the client called and told me, hey, I got this offer, I signed the contract B, and you know, you can't really do much because it's not in your hands. And I said, congrats to you. I'm glad that you got the property. If there's anything else in terms of advisory or any other property that you're looking at, please do feel free to contact us, because we are in the market and we are always ready to, you know, help and facilitate any requirements in the Dubai real estate market. So that's what happens. You work for a month for one client or other clients. You go out in the market, you spend your time, you spend your energy. Maybe the deal doesn't happen, and that's fine, because after this, right after this whole situation, I was traveling, I came back, and while I was traveling, I didn't do anything. It was an off-plan deal. A client came to me, he liked the unit, we closed, and this was double what I was supposed to get for the resale deal. So all the energy and time that you put in the market one day you will be rewarded, and that is the Dubai real estate market. Now, I think if I keep going on, I can go on all day because there are so many stories that we experience every day. But I think I'll end it with one story, which is quite interesting, perhaps quite funny, but this is about how brokers in the market, and this is quite common in the market as well, how they give something called a kickback or how they give a discount from the broker's side, right? To be honest, I'm not someone who would do that because that spoils the market, that spoils how, the professionalism of how we should work in the market, because all the time and energy you are spending, you are giving it back to a client, or you're giving it back. That is your money that you deserve. So there are so many stories to talk about. Perhaps we could do a long podcast in the future if you comment more stories. But let me end with something that's interesting. And this is very true that happens in the market. So there was an off-plan deal. Of course, everybody knows about kickbacks and discounts that agencies or agents offer to clients. First things first, I'm not against anybody. It is something that you personally choose to do, but it really spoils the market and it spoils how professionally or traditionally brokers or agents in the market work. Because the problem with this is it gives an impression to all the clients that every agent does this, so you have to do it. And it's really hard for brokers to compete with such situations. So a funny story that happened with me was, it was an off-plan deal. It was not a big deal. It was between 1 to 2 million deal. There was a broker who was also offering, of course, for off-plan, there's one product, many brokers are working to close the deal, right? To sell the project. So it was the same product. We were selling to one client and there was another agent as well who the client was communicating to. It's the same product, same unit, but an agent offered, apparently this is what the client says, the agent offered, let's say 70% back to the client, right? And we decided not to offer anything, absolutely nothing. But the client was saying, hey, I came to you first. So the client came to us first for this project and he went second with the other agent. So he liked the unit. He really wanted the building. He really wanted that unit. He was an end user. So I was confident that he was going to go ahead with it. He had the budget. But because another agent offered the client a lesser discount or a lesser price, the client was really hesitant who to go with. But because they came first to us and I explained to him how we cannot do something as such, right? This is our policy that we keep up and this is how we deal in the market, because we have our own value that we give and the services that we provide is A to Z in the real estate market. We will always be there even after 10 years if you have an issue. Can guarantee and promise that. We don't know about other brokers or other agents or other agencies in Dubai, but we can guarantee that. And we told him, he said, okay, I'll get back to you. After 2 days, he comes back, hey, what is your offer? This is the offer I got. I said, we're going to stick with the same thing. Let me know if you want to go. I think it's a good offer. You can go because you're getting a better price, but you should let me know. This is my final offer. A week later, we need to close the deal because it was an open deal, and like we had to close the deal. So I just sent him a text. Hey, did you take a decision? Do let me know if it's a yes or a no so we can then close the deal or proceed, if you're interested. And he said, yes, I actually gave the booking to the other agent. I said, proceed. But after giving the booking and after giving all of this, the agent then didn't respond. Where's the agent? The agent has vanished. So I said, this is what happens, right? You need to understand certain situations and how the market works. So this is for clients, and for brokers, you need to stay strong with your policy and what your value is, right, in the market. If a deal doesn't happen, that's okay. But if a deal happens, it will happen. And you are grounding your value in the market. And you know how the market is. All the brokers, for new brokers, always have your value in the market. This will help you in the long run, right? So this is very important for a lot of people who have just entered. A lot of people can relate to this, who have experienced this. But the conclusion is, have your own value, stay strong with it, and eventually people will understand and a deal will come. Time and patience, be loyal, be ethical, and stay strong. Have that confidence and you will succeed in the Dubai real estate industry, because at the end of the day, it's about building a relation with clients with brokers and with other stakeholders in the industry. And that is how Green Desert has been surviving in the market for the past 18 years after two major cycles in the industry. And that is a policy that I would like to keep with Green Desert Real Estate, with myself and with my team. So if you like this video, like, subscribe to our channel for more interesting videos, and don't forget to comment as well.